Hello again. So after a 6-month postponement for new legal representatives to familiarize themselves with the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial case, it has resumed today. And the new witness in the murder trial, Mthokozisi Twala, has detailed his years-long friendship with the late football star. Twala was at the scene when Meyiwa was gunned down and explained the events leading up to the fateful night.
Our friendship then, we were like brothers because we spoke about quite a lot of things. We were building each other. Even during my matric, he was advising me.
Let's go through events as we've been hearing them throughout the course of the afternoon. We're joined by legal analyst Modidima Mannya. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us this afternoon. I'd like for us to start with the judge hearing the case, Judge Chifiwa Maumela. So he is facing a possible impeachment over unpunctual judgments, for lack of a better expression. And so how should we understand that he is still hearing this case?
Thank you, and good afternoon to your viewers. Look, the position of the Judicial Service Commission, firstly, is that it has recommended the suspension of Judge Maumela and another judge, but with the condition that they will continue to complete the matters that they are hearing at this stage. Of course, it raises serious issues, because at the heart of the complaints against them are the issue of their failure to deliver judgments, reserved judgments. You know, usually when a court hears a matter, the judge may say, I want to go and think through this matter and deliver a judgment. And usually that should happen within 3 months. And they have not been able to do so. That could constitute gross misconduct or gross incompetence. And either of them can create an impression that they are not competent enough to hear a matter. So if people were to be concerned to say, but we have these two judges who are now facing gross misconduct or gross incompetent charges, why should we have confidence that they will do a good job in this one? So it's a bit of a complex matter.
It's a bit of a complex matter. So while that is going on, let's go through the testimony of Senzo Meyiwa's friend, Mthokozisi Twala. Maybe look at the detail that he presented. So for the date of the 25th of October 2014, a day before Senzo Meyiwa was fatefully murdered. What do you make of his testimony and how precise he has been? So from Meyiwa inviting him to the game at Wanderers, them leaving, Meyiwa being approached by a fan that he says Meyiwa possibly knew, Meyiwa dropping that fan off in Soweto at his house. He seems to remember quite a lot of detail, including that he was sitting in the stands with the late Mrs. Khoza at the time.
Yes, I must say that, look, this appears to me to be more of background information. The scene of crime is where Senzo Meyiwa was killed, and I think the evidence that we have heard thus far have sort of focused on the house, Kelly's mother's house, and the pertinent question remains, who killed him? And if the intention is to take this witness on a journey that will lead into the house, then it's some bit of useful background. But the fact that Senzo dropped somebody there, or picked him up in Katlehong will not make sense to anybody at this stage until we get to the scene of crime. Maybe the issues that is raising will ultimately add up when we get to the scene of crime and where the crime was actually committed.
I guess essentially it's just his memory that seems to be quite sharp. I mean, he remembers details of himself and Senzo even spending some 10 to 15 minutes either having a discussion or waiting for Kelly Khumalo, his sister, a third female, and a male that was in the other car. Will something like that matter? How precise his memory has been?
I'm battling to hear. Your volume is very low.
Oh my, okay, let's try this again. Is this much better? Can you hear us now,
It's
Mr.
much
Mannya?
better, yes.
Okay, so I guess essentially that he has had such a sharp memory and remembering some very fine detail. How much will that count in terms of his testimony?
Well, look, remember when the court, evaluates evidence, one of the key issues is credibility. And credibility, amongst others, will depend on the ability of a witness to remember. I mean, this is a thing that happened, I think, way back in 2014. And having a witness with such a good memory adds to the credibility of the evidence. But as I said, you may be able to remember all these issues, but at the end of the day, with your sharp memory, you will still have to answer the pertinent questions on the scene of crime. And for me, that's what matters. And I'm very curious to see this good memory find good use when we deal with where the crime occurred. Remember, Senzo was not killed in all this journey that we have had thus far. He's killed when he's at the Kelly's house, which is common cause to everybody.
Given the delays in this trial, I'd just like for us to go back to the Judicial Service Commission as it continues its work and looks into Judge Chifiwa Maumela. Could we potentially see a situation where he is removed from a case he is sitting on? Has something like that ever happened before?
Well, he can be removed if there's an application for his recusal. But as matters stand, and I think the JSC had to strike a balance, because if Judge Maumela were to be removed at this stage, the matter will have to start afresh. But the complaint against him does not also relate to this matter. So there's no particular complaint about his handling of this current matter. It's about the other cases that he has not delivered judgments timeously. I don't foresee the possibility that he will be removed before he concludes this trial. Of course, this trial is at a bit of a slow pace. It started quite late. It may as well be that by the time the JSC makes a final recommendation, if he's found guilty, assuming that he's found guilty and is removed, then I think it's going to be interesting if, for argument's sake, say in the next 3 months, he's found guilty and that he must be impeached, he will no longer be a judge. So I can't see how the JSC can say he must complete this matter, because for him to complete it is because he must remain a judge. So yes, it's a very dicey situation. If he's removed as a judge before he completes this matter, I have no doubt we'll have to go back to the drawing board and have a new judge to start the matter fresh.
Thank you very much for your time this afternoon, legal analyst Modidima Mannya.